They are feeding Denver's park geese to people. We finally find out where the geese killed by the city have ended up. We've learned how the crack-turned canyon in US 36 was first spotted. We head up to the coolest city in our very hot state today. And we're baffled why realtors in a city struggling with gentrification thought that this was a good look.
We listed the house and the buyers came near. The listing was fresh, highest sale of the year.
Just sit right there. This is next.
The geese that Denver killed are going into chili and a shepherd's pie, available for sampling this week at Metro Caring's food bank. It was a big mystery where the geese collected and killed out of Denver's park were going until now. Metro Caring tells me it has already distributed some of that ground goose meat, locally sourced.
We had an opportunity to receive a free source of protein to put into our market, and protein is sources of protein are by far the items in highest demand in our market. People have been surprised, interested. People who know how to cook with it are pretty excited.
Metro Caring says all that goose meat first passed USDA inspection. The city's goose killings to control the population have led to public protests, including some Goose Lives Matter signs at the mayor's swearing in on Monday. Metro Caring says it's hoping to avoid all that controversy. They told me they didn't have any say in the city's plan to kill the geese. They just got the meat. Our search for answers about the collapse on US 36 has taken us to a transportation meeting that was almost as empty as that closed highway. But that is where our Marshall Zellinger found out how often that highway is inspected.
It was amazing to watch. You could actually hear the wall popping.
Nick Farber is the new director of the HPTE, the High Performance Transportation Enterprise. It's the arm of CDOT that handles public-private partnerships, like the agreement for US 36 to be managed and maintained by a private group, Plenary Roads Denver.
The concession agreement and our relationship with Plenary, I think it worked. It's working.
That agreement will likely determine who's responsible for having to pay to rebuild the eastbound lanes of US 36 just west of Church Ranch Boulevard. It's where Farber first visited this weekend as the crumbling started to get worse.
It's scary and terrifying at the same time. You're thinking about if this wall is going to go, where am I going to go?
So how does a crack in the road get noticed before it becomes a gaping hole? Plenary hires that inspection out to a group called Ferrovial.
Ferrovial drives the corridor daily multiple times.
Ferrovial has this timeline every month, checking the pavement, lane markers, drainage, signs, lighting. Depending on the inspection, it happens daily, weekly, or monthly. In May, Ferrovial cleared metal off the highway, even a mattress and a ladder. But get this. While Plenary pays Ferrovial to do these inspections, Plenary also pays a six-figure fee to the HPTE, which is then spent keeping an eye on Ferrovial.
We hired a consultant. They drive it random times 2 to 3 times a week to inspect Ferrovial.
And now the state has hired yet another inspector, someone not involved in the original construction. Their job is to figure out what happened and why.
I don't know how long it's going to take, but I want to make sure it's thorough.
At that meeting, which, by the way, anyone can go to, not just empty chairs, I was told by the HPTE director that the Attorney General's office will help with the analysis of what the independent investigator finds. Kyle, interestingly enough, Plenary sent me an unsolicited email today. Thought maybe I said something incorrect. Nope. They just want to let me know that they're responsible for routine maintenance, minor repairs, removing debris and snow removal, and a quote, reconstruction or major repairs are not part of this agreement in the general purpose lanes.
Aha. So out there on the highway we have the damage repair, and in the email we've got the damage control, and it's all just lanes of damage, I think.
Right. And if it's the toll lane, it's part of Plenary. If it's the general purpose lanes, which means the free lanes.
Sure.
Let me reach into my pocket and start reaching for some money.
Speaking of reaching into our pocket, there is something in the contract that says that Plenary can come and get taxpayer money if they end up losing toll revenue because that road is closed. What did they say about that on the fact sheet? They don't want to talk about that.
We don't know how much. We were trying to sparse out that one section. How much are they actually losing daily? We only know how much they get monthly for the entire corridor. We don't know that section.
People's tolerance for this is going to drop by the day, I'm telling you. Marshall, thank you. For everyone who complains about Colorado's transplants, I agree with you. This next one is the literal worst. I mean, El Chapo is a bad dude, and it looks like he will be one of Colorado's newest residents coming to the Supermax prison in Florence. El Chapo, of course, is busted out of prisons in Mexico. Supermax is designed to be impossible to bust out of. So Florence's mayor told us, it was probably the best place for El Chapo.
They do a good job of keeping them secured, and we never had problems. And everybody always says that, aren't you worried about that something's going to happen in your town? We never had to worry. We've been here 10 years and we never had to worry about anything.
Everyone knows that El Chapo, he's good at escaping. And he's really famous, so he knows a lot of people that could potentially maybe help him escape more than any other person.
That's probably a fair assessment, but Supermax has never had a known escapee, and its residents are a worst of the worst list, includes a bunch of domestic and foreign terrorists. The district attorney up in Adams County is waiting to see an audit of Brighton's water department before he decides whether he's going to wade into that city's issues. The city manager was fired last night, and the mayor is facing a recall, and all of this seems to focus on water bills. City Council canned City Manager Philip Rodriguez last night, but they claim it has nothing to do with the fact that he uncovered $70 million in what he says is overbilling for water. The city manager says that he reported what he uncovered to the state attorney general's office. They kicked the case to Adams County prosecutors. District Attorney Dave Young told us they talked with the city manager, but they're going to wait for this audit to see if there is evidence of any funny business. The city manager told us on his way out of the building last night that evidence shouldn't be hard to find.
And in particular, I think the biggest question for everybody is why? Why would a city work so feverishly to store up money like that, when at the end of the day, we could have served incredibly well and we could have provided clean drinking water.
So he also says that he went to the Department of Justice with his findings. We checked with the FBI today to see if they would talk about whether they're looking into Brighton. They wouldn't discuss it. Colorado's Republican Senator Cory Gardner is a bit reluctant to talk about President Trump's racist tweets telling 4 congresswomen of color to go back to their home countries. We told you yesterday that Senator Gardner wasn't responding to us. An update now. We want to show you what we got from Gardner's office today. No, that's it. They didn't send us anything. There's no statement to put there because they're still ignoring our request for comment. So today was a hot 98 in the city. Tomorrow we could hit 100. Yet there's one city in Colorado sitting cool in the 70s. So we were talking about this earlier today on the air. Which city in Colorado do you think was the coolest today? And a majority of you got it right. It's kind of obvious, isn't it? Leadville. And that's where Corey Reppenhagen's cooling off.
It's a cool place.
Leadville is cool.
Cool is a subjective term, but just about any way you look at it, Leadville's got it.
We take a certain amount of pride in being not only the highest city in North America, but also being one of the coldest places in North America.
Sometimes famous for their winter cold.
Great sleeping weather.
42 degrees at sunrise this morning made Leadville officially Colorado's coolest city.
No, it's a badge of courage. We love it.
Greg Lobby is the mayor of Cool Town, but he's not the only one spewing good publicity.
Well, I'm from Northwest Texas, Bowie, Texas, and it's 103.
Alan Walraven visits every summer, 31 years in a row.
I try to soak up all the cold I can. If I could take it home, I do.
Cool temps and a historic downtown draped with views of the 2 highest peaks in Colorado. Now that's something to write home about.
Not only do I call them, I'll take a picture of the thermometer and text it to them, say, hey, it was 28 this morning.
We had a high temperature of 75 degrees today, which I know we can't complain compared to the heat down on the plains, but for up here, that's actually pushing the comfort level.
If it hits 80 here, that's really warm.
The thin air at 10,000 feet does make the sun's rays feel a little hotter, but it's the evenings that are really magic.
When the sun starts to go down here, we'll go from mid-70s, we'll go very quickly into the 60s and 50s. I'm grateful that I feel spoiled by living in Leadville.
In Leadville, meteorologist Corey Reppenhagen for Next.
I was up there this past weekend. It is, in a lot of ways, cool. So Denver's in the middle of a pretty contentious conversation about gentrification, about how neighborhoods change when longtime residents and their businesses, often in communities of color, get pushed out by housing prices, by development, and by new residents who are often younger and white. Now, one thing we hadn't heard till now was a bunch of real estate agents bragging about their work in a spoof rap video. Kentwood Real Estate's Team Denver Homes video is today's edition of Presented Without Comment.
Now, this is a story all about how we turn the real estate market upside down.
And we'd like to take a moment, just sit right there. We'll tell you how we sell the homes in a town called Denver.
We pulled up to the office about 7 or 8, and I yelled to the city, your home, see you later.
We looked at our empire, we were finally there.
Team Denver Homes takes the throne in Denver.
She told me she doesn't know why people are mad. The realtor says that she doesn't get it. She said she had minority friends. She also said she's sorry. They deleted it.
50 years after we set foot on the moon, a reminder sets down in Colorado. People walk into one American Legion post and their eyes go upward.
I'm proud of what I did, but we've had guys come in here and look up there and says, I've been coming here 2 years, never did see them before.
A unique tribute to our state's veterans. Next.
Turning up the heat this week, mid-90s today, but close to 100, if not 100, tomorrow and Friday. One way to beat the heat, head for the hills. It's green and beautiful way up high, and the average this time of year is 90. The record for today is 102, so no record today, but tomorrow's record is in jeopardy. Dominant ridge of high pressure starting to flatten out. Most of the precip, the energy from these incoming storms, will be pushed northward. The heat indices 110 for some areas in the Central Plains, so there are heat advisories out, as you might imagine. Tracking a little thunderstorm activity in the northern half of the state with a little bit of wind and lightning. The severe weather, though, appears to be in Wyoming and Nebraska. Tonight, partly cloudy, a little thunder and lightning early, then clearing. A mild low of 65, 100 degrees both Thursday and Friday. Cool front comes in Saturday with a better chance of rain from storms late in the weekend and early next week, and that temperature trend will be lovely as well. If you're sneezing, trees will be the reason. They are running high, although the grasses and the weeds are at moderate, Kyle.
Kathy, thank you. U.S. national soccer team really focused conversation on the issue of pay equity and sports as well, where that's an arena where women are often paid less, even if they're outperforming male counterparts. We're obviously not just talking about soccer, though. I mean, look at cycling. Also look, though, at what's happening with one big race in Colorado. Here's Lori Lizarraga.
So I've been riding for I would say like 6 years or so, and then I've been racing professionally for the last 2 years.
It's an elite group, the world of women's pro cycling.
Yeah, it would be professional cyclist Erica Clevenger.
Erica Clevenger just rode 4 hours before noon. But the uphill battles she faces aren't just on the trail.
Typically, when races start to struggle with sponsorship or, staying afloat, usually it's the women's race that gets cut first.
A bike race in Colorado, the Colorado Classic, is flipping the script, kicking guys off the trail to make a little more room for women.
That's what makes it really exciting that the Colorado Classic has chosen to focus on us.
It's exciting and also incredibly unique for any profession to do.
And women aren't taken as seriously in a lot of realms that are considered the public sphere. So anything from politics to economics and also sports.
Javon Archibek knows a lot about the subject. It's her job at the Gender Institute for Teaching and Advocacy in Denver.
Changes are definitely happening, but women do still need the advocacy of people in positions of power to help achieve equality.
The Colorado Classic all-women's race is just that. For Next, I'm Lori Lizarraga.
Rush hour, without the backed up traffic or the road rage, or the road even.
We call them the legacy panels.
Each one of those tells a story about someone different. We'll meet the man behind them next.
That's fair. We should move on from the crack jokes. Although separation of church and ranch is, I think, like far and away the best name that we've gotten so far. Chuck Elson. He is an artist with an unusual canvas. To find it, first you got to walk into American Legion Post 178 in Lakewood, and then you have to look up. Chuck and his daughter-in-law shared the story behind the art with our Tom Cole.
I'm 80 years old. I rode my Indian motorcycle here today for this interview. I don't know if it makes any difference, but this eye is fake.
And that is how my interview with Charles Elson began. I quickly learned he likes to laugh, and those in American Legion Post 178 look up to him. And they look up to his artwork.
So it's kind of like paint by numbers, except I elaborate a little bit.
The ceiling in here represents those who have served.
We call them the legacy panels.
And Charles has painted all of them.
All of them's got a story behind it.
If you're a patron here and want to donate $100 to Post 178, he'll do a little research on your branch, your division, look up logos and symbols, and sit down for about 10 to 18 hours and make you a painting.
Each guy's got his panel, and he's very proud of the unit he served with, and so we're putting it up there in the ceiling.
Some have even brought in their families to show off their legacy.
The 101-year-old guy, I presented a panel, and he looked at me and he said, "That was me."
Marine Doug Powell has one, and it helps him remember.
Well, I did it in memory and to honor all the guys that didn't come home.
They're all humble in here, including Charles. They were all just doing their jobs.
They're proud of what they were and what they did. They just want to become part of this.
And this is the legacy of Charles Elson.
All of them are my legacy. When I pass away, they'll still be there, which may be quicker than I want.
For next, I'm Tom Cole.
Back in February, we showed you a sculpture that was being worked on in Loveland over the course of 6 months. A sculpture in honor of Apollo 11's 50th anniversary. And back then we told you where it was headed. We can now confirm that Lundin Sculptures did indeed send it off to the Kennedy Space Center in Cape Canaveral, Florida. Last night there was a dedication ceremony for that Colorado-made sculpture. It was the night of the 50th anniversary of the spacecraft's launch. We found rush hour traffic without a slowdown. It's the most Colorado thing we've seen today. That and your feedback next. The most Colorado thing we've seen today, rush hour on the water. Whitewater River rafters on Clear Creek. Diane Wall shared this photo of 5 different rafts coming down the creek at the same time, all orderly, like nobody seemed slowed down a bit. Share the most Colorado thing you've seen using the hashtag HeyNext or email us next@9news.com. A lot of folks writing in tonight since we found out that the geese that were collected and killed in Denver's parks have gone, at least in part, to Metro Caring's food bank. Ken McDavid says, living across the street from a park, we've been advocating for this responsible solution. And Jeff Shaw says, I love shepherd's pie. See you next time.